Hey guys, it's Daniel here, and today I'm going to show you how to set up the time chains on a YD25 engine. First, you'll need to lock the scissor gear with the pin. Turn the crank until the woodruff key is at 12 o'clock. Then insert the fuel pump pin. Mark the scissor gear between the two dots. Remove the crank helical gear. Remove top tensioner bolts, steel backed guide bolts, and slack guide bolt. Remove the fuel pump pin, then take off the top chain. Reinstall the fuel pump pin. Use a breaker bar to undo the 3/8 vacuum pump nut. Use a 6mm Allen key to undo the fuel pump cap screws. Remove tensioner bolts and guide bolt. Remove the sprockets. Clean the vacuum pump shaft, nut and washers. Install vacuum pump sprocket, flat washer, spring washer, a little bit of Loctite. Install the nut. And torque to 60 Newton meters with a rattle gun. Place the fuel pump pin in, then undo the T70 torques. Screw the donut tool onto the fuel pump boss. Screw the hydraulic ram puller into the tool. Remove the fuel pump lip seal. This is the fuel pump seal tool. Get the fuel pump seal with this side and put it on the tool first. Wipe a little grease on the outside of the seal, then tap it home with a pop hammer. Put some grease on the inside of the fuel pump seal. Place on the fuel pump boss. The edge of the fuel pump nut seals on the fuel pump boss. Apply a light amount of silicone just around the edge. Put the nut on and torque it to 90 Newton meters. Paint mark everything once it's torqued. Check the alignment between the vacuum pump and fuel pump sprocket. Replace the original shim. On the fuel pump sprocket. Push both pumps in, check alignment with a straight edge. There's a gap there, meaning that the fuel pump is proud and the original fuel pump shim is too thick. The original shim was a no-notch 1.6mm shim. We're going to replace it with a 1-notch 1.2mm shim. We tried a 1.2mm shim in there, it was still a little bit too thick, so we put in a 1mm shim and now it's perfect. Apply some grease on the crankshaft Tap on the crank sprocket with a copper hammer. Once you get to this point, you'll have to use a piece of pipe. And you want to get it so it's just started on the second Woodruff key. Align the timing marks. Blue link on the dot on the fuel pump sprocket. Yellow link on the line on the crank sprocket. Hold the chain above the bolt. Use a piece of pipe and gently tap the crank sprocket on. Reinstall the fuel pump washer and the 4 Allen keycap screws. Torque the cap screws to 40 Newton meters. Install the bottom guide. Install the bottom tensioner and the 2 10mm bolts. Install the other guides. Torque the guide bolt to 23 Newton meters. Torque the tensioner bolts to 10 Newton meters. Check timing marks. Dot to blue link. Line to yellow link. Install O-ring. Final check on the bottom section. Timing correct. Bolts torqued. Torqued, torqued, torqued. Lined. Now you can pull the tensioner pin. Install cam chain, blue links on cam dots, yellow link on fuel pump dot. Install tensioner guide, install steel backed guide, remove tensioner piston, install fail-safe, tapered edged in, reinstall piston, install top tensioner, screw in top screw part of the way, and twist it around to start the bottom screw. Torque tensioner bolts to 10 Newton meters. Torque the 3 bolts to 23 Newton meters. Final check for the top. Bolts torqued. Timing check. That's right. That's right. Reinstall crank helical gear. Make sure the paint marked tooth is between the two dots. Then remove scissor gear locking tool.